Could a single split-second mistake be the thing that finally brings the whole house of cards down in Port Charles? You have to wonder if what happened on that Monday episode was just bad luck, or if it was the universe finally stepping in. I mean, was this really just a simple medical accident, or something way bigger going on? Think about it. One tiny needle changed everything for Nina, Willow, Jack, and especially Drew. It feels like we're watching a total narrative shift that's about to leave us all speechless. Let's talk about that moment at the house because it was pure, unadulterated chaos. Nina was right in the middle of this crazy fight between Valentine Cassadine and Jack Brennan. There was a gun involved and things were getting way out of hand so fast. Nina was absolutely terrified and honestly, can you blame her? She was trying to stop a physical brawl, but instead, she became the reason for a massive medical emergency. In all that panic, she accidentally injected Jack Brennan with the medication meant for Drew Kane. Now, think about the why behind this for a second. Nina didn't wake up that morning planning to poison a high-ranking WSB agent. She was just caught in a pressure cooker. Valentine had a gun, Brennan was aggressive, and Nina just snapped. It's like she's a classic enabler who's always trying to protect her daughter's secrets, but she's totally out of her league here. The funny thing is, this accident might be the best thing that ever happened to the truth. Jack Brennan dropped to the floor immediately. He was rushed to General Hospital by paramedics, and he is definitely not doing well. Nina followed him there, looking like an absolute wreck. She's terrified, as actress Cynthia Watros put it. And it's not just about the legal trouble, though that's huge. It's also because she actually has a heart. She hurt a human being, and now he's fighting for his life because of her. You can see the guilt eating her alive while she gives these shaky, vague answers to Elizabeth Baldwin at the hospital. But here's where it gets really interesting. Elizabeth Baldwin has a serious nurse radar, and she's starting to notice things don't add up. She told Lucas Jones that it's a strange coincidence that two healthy men, Drew and now Brennan, suffer these weird stroke-like collapses in the exact same house only months apart. Liz is smart, and she won't let this go. Her suspicion is like a ticking clock for Nina and Willow. If things don't add up medically, you know Liz is going to keep digging until she finds the truth. While Nina was busy freaking out at the hospital, she completely forgot something major. She missed Drew's scheduled injection. And because he didn't get that drug that keeps him paralyzed, things started to change. Drew Kane is a former Navy SEAL, remember? He's trained to stay calm and strike when the time is right. And that's exactly what he did. This is where the story turns into a total psychological horror movie. For months, Drew has been trapped in this motionless state while Willow has been hovering around him like he was furniture with a pulse. Willow and Nina have been talking strategy and revenge right in front of him. They've even been mocking him, telling him to stop blinking because he was weirding them out. Can you imagine the rage building up inside him? He's been a silent witness to every confession and every lie. When he realized he could move his fingers again, he didn't waste a second. He managed to reach for a nearby phone. He was actually trying to dial for help, likely 911, to finally end this nightmare. It was such a high-tension moment. But then Willow came racing home just in time. She wrenched the phone out of his hand before he could finish the call. She looked at him and realized that she's the only one who can be trusted to watch over him now. What has happened to Willow? She used to be the moral center of the show, but now she's basically a kidnapper. She's so scared of losing her kids or her political career that she's justified drugging a man and keeping him prisoner. She's not even trying to help him anymore. She's just trying to control him. It's chilling to watch her go from a nurse who saves lives to someone who is literally terrified that a man is regaining his mobility. And what about Jen Sidwell? He's clearly not happy about any of this. He said, "We have a mess on our hands," and he's right. When a guy like Sidwell gets nervous, you know things are about to get dangerous for everyone. He's the one supplying the drugs, and he doesn't want the WSB or the police poking around his business. This whole thing has gone from a family secret to an international mess. You have to wonder, how much longer can Nina and Willow keep this up? Nina is already terrified, and she's probably one glass of wine away from a total breakdown. Willow, on the other hand, seems to be getting more ruthless. There are even spoilers suggesting she might throw Nina under the bus to save herself. Think about that. Willow could use the evidence, like Nina's fingerprints on the syringe, to frame her own mother if things get too hot. Would she really do that to her own mom just to keep her reputation? It's looking more and more likely. The psychological layer here is just so dark. Drew isn't just a victim. He's becoming a predator. He knows now that he can move. Even if Willow thinks she caught him, she has no idea what he's really capable of. Imagine him lying there, faking the paralysis, just waiting for the perfect moment to grab her wrist and never let go. It wouldn't be a heroic recovery. It would be something colder and much more terrifying. Brennan's fate is still up in the air, too. He's alive and stable for now, but he's in serious condition. If he wakes up and remembers that Nina was the one who jabbed him, she is in so much trouble. He's a WSB agent, and he's not going to just let that go. Plus, Carly was counting on him to help find Jocelyn. If he can't talk, then Jocelyn is in even more danger. Everything is connected, and it's all falling apart at once. What if a single medical coincidence is the one thing that brings down Port Charles's most dangerous secret? We've all been watching this intense, locked-in storyline with Drew Kane, but something shifted on that Monday episode that felt different. Was it just a simple blunder by Nina, or was it the moment the universe decided to stop playing fair with the villains? Today, we're looking at Elizabeth Baldwin's growing suspicion and asking the big question, is she about to walk right into Drew's room and blow this whole conspiracy wide open? Stick around, because the medical parallels Liz is seeing are about to make Willow's life a total nightmare. Let's start with the absolute chaos that went down at Willow's house. You had Valentine and Jack Brennan, two heavy hitters with a lot of bad blood, getting into a physical fight that turned into a scene straight out of an action movie. Nina Reeves was right in the middle of it, clutching a syringe that was meant for Drew. In a moment of pure, blinding panic, she tried to stop the fight but ended up stabbing Jack Brennan in the neck with a paralytic drug. Now, you have to think about why this happened from Nina's perspective. She wasn't trying to be a villain in that moment. She was just desperate to stop a murder from happening right in front of her. But the irony here is just too thick to ignore. By trying to save one life, she basically handed over the keys to her and Willow's downfall. Jack Brennan dropped to the floor instantly, and suddenly, he's the one fighting for his life in a hospital bed at GH. Nina, obviously terrified and drowning in guilt, followed the paramedics to the hospital. But while she was there playing the concerned friend, she left a massive loose end at home. She missed Drew's dose. And that, my friends, is where the real horror begins. Without that drug in his system, the Navy SEAL inside Drew started to wake up. It's honestly kind of chilling to think about a man who has been furniture with a pulse for months suddenly finding the strength to move his fingers toward a phone. But the real threat to Willow and Nina isn't just a recovering Drew, it's Elizabeth Baldwin. See, Liz isn't just any nurse. She's a veteran of the Port Charles medical scene, and she has seen it all. While she was treating Brennan, her internal BS detector started going off in a major way. She's noticing that Brennan is in the exact same state Drew was in. Same symptoms, same stroke-like collapse, and here's the kicker. It happened in the same house. Liz even told Lucas Jones that it was a strange coincidence. Now, think about Elizabeth's psychology for a second. She is someone who values justice and the truth, especially when it comes to her patients. When she sees a pattern like this, she can't just turn it off. It's part of her DNA as a healthcare professional. I honestly think Liz is the smartest person in the room right now. While everyone else is focused on the drama of the blunder, she's looking at the medical logic. And the logic says that two healthy men don't just have identical mystery strokes in the same living room within a few months of each other. It's statistically impossible, and Liz knows it. My opinion is that Nina and Willow have grossly underestimated how observant the GH staff really is. They thought they could just hide Drew away and no one would ask questions, but by bringing a second victim, Brennan, into the hospital with the same condition, they've basically invited the medical community to investigate them. Now, let's talk about the psychological horror of what's happening back at the house. Cameron Matheson's performance as Drew has been incredible lately. The sources mention how he's doing eyeball acting, showing fear and rage just with his gaze. But on Monday, he did more than just look. He reached for that phone. This wasn't just a man trying to call 911. This was a predator who had been caged, finally seeing the door crack open. Drew has been lying there while Willow and Nina mocked him and talked about their crimes as if he were houseplant. Can you imagine the psychological toll that takes on a man? He's been recording every word, every secret, and every insult. He's not just looking for an escape. He's looking for a reckoning. The moment Willow walked in and wrenched the phone out of his hand was one of the most stressful scenes we've seen in a long time. It showed us exactly who Willow is now. She's not the Saint Willow we used to know. She is someone who is willing to use physical force to keep a man paralyzed and silenced. Her behavior is fueled by a mix of ego and survival instinct. She's terrified that if Drew speaks, she loses everything: her kids, her career, her reputation. In her mind, she's the victim, and Drew is the problem that needs to be managed. It's a very dangerous psychological state to be in because it allows her to justify almost anything. But let's get back to Elizabeth. If she's already suspicious, what is her next move? As a nurse, she has a valid reason to check on her former patients or visit friends. If she decides to drop by Willow's house under the guise of checking in on how Drew is doing, she might walk right into the middle of a dosing session. Or worse, she might see Drew faking his paralysis. And that's a prediction I'm putting a lot of weight on. I think Drew is going to start pretending he's still locked in, even when the meds are in his system. He knows now that he can move, and his SEAL training tells him that the best weapon he has is the element of surprise. The emotional insight here for Elizabeth is that she genuinely cares about Drew. They have a history. So when she sees him struggling, or when she hears these vague, shaky stories from Nina at the hospital, her heart goes out to him, but her brain starts connecting the dots. She's not just going to let this go. She's going to start asking Lucas more questions, or she might even look into the toxicology of what's in Brennan's system. If she finds traces of that specific paralytic, and then she remembers Drew's condition, it's game over for the ladies. And then we have Jen Sidwell. He's the one who said, "We have a mess on our hands," and he's not kidding. This isn't just about a family feud anymore. You have a WSB agent in the hospital because of a drug that was supposed to be a secret. Sidwell is a dangerous guy, and he's not going to want his name or his drugs tied to a high-profile medical emergency. This adds a level of escalation that is going to force Willow and Nina to turn on each other. If the pressure gets too high, who do you think Willow is going to blame? My money is on Nina. Willow is already showing signs of being a bona fide psychopath, and she has Nina's fingerprints on the syringe. She could easily frame her mother as the mastermind behind the whole thing to save her own skin. It's honestly tragic to see Nina in this position. Cynthia Watro says Nina is terrified, and you can see why. She's caught between her love for her daughter and the reality that she's becoming a criminal. She wants to decompress with a hot bath and a glass of wine, but there is no decompressing from what she's done. She's injected a federal agent with an illegal drug. She's an accomplice to kidnapping. Every time she looks at Brennan in that hospital bed, she's seeing her own future prison cell. And the fact that she's starting to feel compassion for him only makes it worse. Her guilt is going to be the thing that makes her slip up, and Elizabeth is going to be right there to catch the pieces. The funny thing is, Willow thinks she's the one in control because she caught Drew with the phone. She thinks she's the only one who can be trusted to watch over him. But that kind of arrogance is exactly what leads to a downfall. She's so focused on Drew that she's not looking at the nurse-shaped shadow looming over her secret. Elizabeth doesn't need to break into the house. She just needs to keep asking the right questions at the hospital. If she pushes Nina just a little bit harder, Nina is going to crack. She's already giving vague answers that are raising red flags. Think about the internal struggle for Drew right now. He's lying there, probably feeling his muscles twitch, knowing that he was this close to calling for help. The frustration must be overwhelming. But he also knows that Brennan is at the hospital. He's a smart guy. He can probably figure out that the missing dose happened because of some chaos involving Brennan. This gives him hope. He's not just a victim anymore, he's a strategist. He's waiting for the right moment to strike, and when he does, it's not going to be a 911 call. It's going to be much more personal. The interpretation I have of this whole mess is that the writers are turning this into a psychological thriller. It's not your typical soap opera plot where someone just wakes up from a coma. This is a story about the darkness that people can sink into when they are desperate. Willow's transformation is the most shocking part. She has become more chilling than any of the Cassidines ever were because she does it with a smile and a mother's love as her excuse. It's a total reframing of her character that has left the audience divided. Is she a victim of circumstances, or has she always had this darkness inside her? And what about the 911 call? The spoilers say it causes shocking consequences. I predict that Drew might actually succeed in a second attempt, or maybe someone else, like a suspicious Elizabeth, finds a way to get the authorities involved. But what if the call actually ends up saving Brennan instead of Drew? That would be the ultimate irony. Drew tries to save himself, but in doing so, he exposes the medical treatment Brennan needs, which in turn leads the police back to Willow's house. Everything is a circle in Port Charles, and right now, that circle is tightening around Willow and Nina. So, let's get down to the big prediction. Does Elizabeth's suspicion lead her to Drew's room? I believe it does, but maybe not in the way we expect. I think she's going to use a professional excuse to check on Drew's recovery at home. She might offer to help Willow with his physical therapy, or she might just stop by to chat about Brennan's similar condition. Once she's in that room, it only takes one look from Drew, one of those eyeball acting moments, for her to realize that he's not as paralyzed as everyone thinks. And if she sees that syringe or notices the timeline of the doses, the whole thing is over. The conflict between Nina and Willow is also going to be a huge factor. Nina is the weak link. She's the one with the heart and the guilt. Willow is the one with the ego and the ambition. When Elizabeth starts digging, these two are going to start pointing fingers. It's going to be a race to see who can throw the other under the bus first. And if Jen Sidwell gets involved, things could turn violent. He doesn't want a mess, and he might decide that the best way to clean up a mess is to get rid of the people who made it. This whole storyline is just so high stakes because it's not just about secrets, it's about lives. Jack Brennan's fate is still uncertain. If he dies, Nina is looking at a murder charge. If he lives and recovers, he's going to want revenge. There is no happily ever after for Nina and Willow at the end of this road. They have crossed a line that you can't uncross. And Elizabeth Baldwin is the one holding the compass that's pointing straight at their crimes. I'm also really interested in the dynamic between Elizabeth and Lucas. They've always been a great team, and having them both suspicious of these strokes is a powerful narrative tool. It shows that the truth isn't just going to come out because of a mistake. It's going to come out because people who care about their jobs are doing them correctly. It's a great message, but it's also a terrifying one for the villains. You can't hide a medical crime from a group of dedicated doctors and nurses for very long.
So, what do you think?
Is Elizabeth about to become the hero of this story, or is she putting herself in serious danger by poking around Willow's house? And here's a debate-triggering question for the comments. If you were Elizabeth and you realized what Willow was doing to Drew, would you confront her directly or go straight to the police? Also, do you think Drew should wait to strike, or is he missing his best chance by not trying to move right now while Nina is distracted at the hospital? This General Hospital web is getting so tangled, and I'm honestly here for every second of it. The psychological layers, the medical mystery, and the fall of St. Willow have made this one of the best storylines in years. If you're enjoying these deep dives into the Port Charles madness, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. We're covering everything from the Brennan blunder to the ultimate fallout for the Quartermaines, and you definitely don't want to miss what happens when Elizabeth finally steps into that room. Thanks for watching, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one where we find out if the 911 call finally changes everything.